Hello and welcome to the 1985 FM podcast. It's June 23rd, 2014. I am your host, Randy Legidice, and joining me this week we have Brendan O'Connell.
Hi.
Jeremy Conrad.
Hello.
And Lawrence Lawson.
Howdy.
How's everyone doing this week?
Swell.
Getting poorer by the minute.
You're talking about, I imagine, the Steam Summer Sale?
Oh no, just by buying fucking food every day.
Oh, okay, all right, then more by every minute. Yeah, then I guess that would be true, right?
Well, every time I'm like about to buy a game, it's just like, am I gonna play this? And just like, it's like, what can I buy? What kind of food can I buy with this money? And then I ended up just getting like in and out.
After you've been through the Steam Summer Sale enough times, eventually I think you start getting to that point. You're like, okay, like I know that this isn't my first rodeo. Am I actually going to play these games?
Yeah.
Like, the deals are great, but am I actually going to play this game?
I mean, that's what I'm, I guess struggling with right now. It's just like, what am I actually going to buy? And like, I have everything, and I still haven't gone through like at least like almost half of my library. So, I'm just like kind of like sitting back, like really contemplating, like, okay, this one I think, I'll pick up Batman, I'll pick up, Gone Home, whatever, so on and so forth. So, yeah. Not going to spend a lot on this sale, I don't think. And I think, and then a lot of these deals keep on repeating because ever since Steam started doing like weekly deals and like, like spring sale and like winter sale and everything.
Mother's Day sale,
yeah. It's just like, I mean, like, oh, it's Friday, fucking Friday sale. And like,
Friday sale, yeah, there's a sale for everything. Literally, if there is something happening, there's a sale for it.
And now that publishers are able to, dictate their own sales whenever they want to without Steam's permission, it makes, things like the summer sale a little bit less special, because, these deals are not like, wow, I can't believe once in a blue moon, only once a year, and just like, whenever fucking, I don't know, THQ wants to make a sale on like Darksiders games, fucking like it'll be like every other week. Don't worry.
Who is the shadow arm of THQ that's still selling games? I think like there's this guy inside like a room. He's all, I own THQ. And, like no one's there to really argue with them, so they're like, yeah, sure, sell our games. We don't care.
Where'd the money go?
I agree with that. I looked at the sale this year and I'm like, yeah, it's okay. I mean, but throughout the year there's always stuff going down, and it's like it used to be that if you wanted a game, you would wait for the Steam sale. Yeah. But now it's getting to the point where the games are just being put on sale throughout the year. You're like, well, I know I have a friend who's like, okay, do I buy it now? Do I buy Tomb Raider now for $10, or do I wait for the Steam sale when it's going to be $3? I mean,
yeah.
It's hard to tell when you should buy it.
I had this conversation earlier in the week. Nathan Mayer from 1985 FM posted a article earlier this week where he was talking about like the Wii U bundle with Mario Kart 8, and now's the time to buy it.
Right.
And there were some people who commented on the article saying that like, oh, well, you know what, it's going to be another $100 cheaper in a year. And that mentality to me, like, it doesn't ring true whatsoever. Like, I don't understand the idea of like, I will wait a year and not enjoy this thing that obviously if you're commenting on a video game site, you're obviously interested in this stuff enough to comment. Why would you deprive yourself a year of enjoying this thing to save $100, which is really minuscule in the grand scheme of a year?
I think that it's more than just the money, though. I think it's a matter of like, like there's no games I want to buy a play on it. Like the PS4, I'm sure like I'll kind of get fun out of like Infamous, but like I think I'll probably like my reason for waiting a year isn't to like save money, and maybe that would happen, maybe it won't. I'm not really betting on that. It's just that I'm not gonna put in this money to play games I'm really not invested in. And the same thing goes for that argument. And I was kind of trying to take the stance of where Nathan's argument was coming from, and his argument was that Mario Kart 8 is that game that you would buy the Wii U for. Up until this point, the other games haven't really validated the purchase. I mean, it may be hard to believe.
That depends to each person whether that's
exactly
or not.
Yeah, I mean, it's maybe hard to believe, but like not everyone's favorite game is Mario Kart 8, and like
Shut your face.
I mean, it hasn't changed, and a lot of people are just kind of tired. It's like it hasn't really changed much from the last games. It's only like made it better, but like and shinier, and it plays better, but it's still the same core game. And some people are like, you know what? I can wait. You know, this
Yeah,
game's
I can totally understand if like the software isn't there to make you want to purchase something, but just the money alone, it just doesn't make sense. Like, okay, so like if I buy Tomb Raider now for $10 or $5, it's like, wouldn't you rather just play Tomb Raider right now?
I feel like the summer sale for Steam is more of kind of like an advertisement for the Steam platform than anything else.
It very much is, yeah.
I see a lot of people who are just like the day before, or not really the day before, but like the day after, like, you know, I'm building a PC now because of the summer sale, and like it gets them into, you know, PC gaming, kind of like how Valve gets people into buying games on their platform with like free-to-play games, you know, like TF2 or Dota 2. You know, it's like, oh, once you're in, you're in. And I think the sale is like just another way of doing that, which is nice. I mean, I feel like, you know, hopefully, you know, the console developers, like the consoles, you know, like the big three would actually follow in suit and try something else with that. But
we're seeing a little bit of that. I mean, I'm not sure what your guys' experience has been with the network, but as far as Xbox with Xbox One, there has been definitely not on the level of Steam, but there's been a considerable amount of like the games for gold like deals now this month. Like Tomb Raider was on sale, I think, for like the definitive edition for like $25 or something like that. Strider was like $7.50.
Yeah, Strider. They need to go crazy like with it though. They need to like go like this is like Xbox One week where it's just like games are literally like fucking like $3, you know, but they're digital only, and they're like stupid cheap. I'm sure the prices the sales will rise like dramatically after like a sale like that. If you make it a big event too, it's not about the sale. It's about the spectacle of the sale. It's like it's special because like they make it special. It's not like, oh well, you know, it's a sale because it's fucking April or some shit. I don't give a fuck. Easter maybe? I don't know. Like we got to make it like Xbox One summer sale. You want games for a fucking $1? We'll give you $1 for this game. Like they need to do something crazy to get people into that. You know, the way the Steam has, because Steam has made it like they haven't done it purposely, but it's became a religion, and we need to kind of follow suit in that.
I gotcha.
There's also comes to a point where you feel like you have most of the good games. Or for me, that's why I haven't spent a lot of money this year, is that because I think I've probably got everything that I have in there, or the things that that it comes down to, like what you were saying earlier, what you're really going to play, what you know you're going to play, and what you know you're never going to really play, but it looks interesting.
When you purchase, usually this is for people who are just now building a PC or built a PC recently. Because they don't have a library and they're now just like purchasing games to fill up, you know, their Steam catalog now that they can play the games on there. But there's not, not like 100, 200 like great AAA titles come out every year. It's only about like, you know, a dozen or so. So you buy those and then you're pretty much done for the sale for that year. And it gets slower every time.
So has anyone picked up anything from the summer sale? And if so, what was the the big shining purchase that you
let me do that.
Personally, myself, I've only bought one thing so far with the summer sale. I bought Batman Arkham Origins. I always wanted to play it, but I wasn't willing to pay $60. It was on sale for like $7.50. I played it. I've had a good time with it so far, and that's one of those games that kind of works really well for me, at least for the summer sale.
Nah, I haven't picked up anything yet.
Really?
I don't know if I will. I mean, nothing I want to play. There's nothing I want to play. I'm like, nah.
I picked up, I think 4 or 5 titles. I picked up Battle Block Theater because it was a co-op game, so I bought me and my friend a copy. I picked up Sins of the Solar Empire Rebellion because I heard they had a cool Star Trek mod for it, and I was like, I'm down for a Star Trek 4X game. What else? I purchased Gone Home Today, and then I got Rising Storm. I got a couple other games I can't really remember. It's just like I think I might actually play this.
That's the nature of the Steam summer sale. I got some games. I can't even remember what they are.
And look, there's some games I wanted to get. Oh, I got Metal Gear Rising as well.
Oh, nice.
So that's an excellent game. I
hadn't already played that. I definitely would. That would have been something I would have picked up.
There's some games I wanted to get, like The Wolf Among Us and like the season 2 of The Walking Dead. But I know as soon as those games like finish their episodic series, they'll go on this discount, the same caliber. Maybe it'll be like $10 instead of $8. But I mean, at that point, like I don't really care. You know, it's just like, well, I'll wait, you know, until it's all finished. But yeah, not too many games.
All right, well, Steam Summer Sale's still going for a little bit. It came a lot earlier than it did last year. Last year it came in July, which is kind of good. I actually got to buy some stuff this time because we were doing Comic-Con stuff last year.
I think they didn't want to. I think they didn't want to conflict with the international for Dota. That was probably the reason why it's so early.
Let's talk about another PC market. Let's talk about some Origin. Origin had some game time that they started a new initiative. Brendan, you want to talk a little bit about it?
Sure, yeah. So that was announced earlier this week. They pretty much just started this initiative where they are offering a game free, the full game for free, for a limited amount of time. So this first time it was 48 hours for Titanfall. It started on Saturday at 12 a.m., ended on Sunday night. And it was just the first one, but they're looking like they'll have more of these in the future, but no word on what games they might be.
Isn't this basically the same as the Steam free weekend?
Yeah, pretty much exactly. Did anyone download it and try it?
No, I didn't, because I didn't really have time, and also I've already played Titanfall, and I mean I played the beta, which is fucking barely a beta. The game didn't change much from then.
I am insanely goofy for Titanfall. I actually, even though I played a ton of it on Xbox One, I downloaded the PC version because I was just kind of more or less curious of how it would run in comparison to my Xbox One. And I mean, obviously, without a surprise, it looks fantastic in comparison to the Xbox One. Like, just because of all the anti-aliasing you can add to it. And it runs like rock solid smooth.
Oh, man,
I'm almost disappointed that I have it on Xbox One and not on this system.
I have it, Xbox One. It was surprisingly like it looks great on the platform. When we played it there, time I was like, wow, I'm actually pretty surprised. You know, obviously there's no competition when it comes to PC, when it comes to most games, unless you're fucking Watch Dogs. But like now that you can kind of play that game, you know, on your television set, now that you have like the drivers for your Xbox One controller, so
right? Yeah,
you can still have that.
I was playing it with my Xbox One controller, which really the new drivers work really well. I was surprised actually. I mean, this is probably the one game out of the year that I become good at. Last year I think it was Injustice, and this year I think it's Titanfall. And like with the controller, I was actually able to hold up with like people who were probably using mouse and keyboard and doing pretty well. So, man, I love that game. I just can't get enough of that goddamn game.
Did you purchase it?
No, because it was they had it on sale for $30 during this promotional time, which is a pretty good price. But just at right now, I could think of a lot of other games I'd rather spend $30 with the summer sale going on right now.
That was my thought process actually too, because I was like, man, $30 is a really fucking good deal, but I got to think about like why I didn't purchase it for $60 and just like just still not a lot of content. I'll wait for like all the fucking like DLC to come out, and then I'll purchase like a Game of the Year edition or something.
It's tough to buy a game for $30 when you already own like a copy of it that you paid $60 for on another system.
Oh yeah,
you know,
definitely.
It's like I really like the game that much that I would buy another copy of it, but I don't know about $30 yet.
Well, now next thing you just have to buy the actual Titan like figure.
Yeah, just buy the Titan.
I'm pretty sure you can fit that in there.
I'm rocking the shirt right now, so I love the Titan shirt. Let's see here, and that kind of led into what we were going to talk about next. Let's see here. What do we got here? Something. Actually, no. Let's talk about it. Okay, so Lawrence, you want to talk about the way Ubisoft is pressing people to pre-order some Assassin's Creed?
Ubisoft wants your money very badly.
That's no surprise.
So yeah, I mean that's just what they do. They're a business. So in order to entice people to try to pre-order Assassin's Creed Unity, they made it a contest. So
whoever pre-orders the most copies.
Pretty much whoever pre-orders the most and whoever pre-orders the earliest, they're entering a chance to win like these fabulous prizes. Like you get to go to Ubisoft Montreal, or you get to like in-game content. Like
you get a copy of the game that's not not dumbed down.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's.
You get the E3 patch.
Yeah, you get the E3 patch right out the door.
It's just like all these like like cool like prizes and everything, but it just looks so fucking like corporate, like scheming, like looks like a fucking like Walmart like fucking or GameStop ad, like enter your Power Up Awards card membership into earn these crazy prizes like this one guy did, and it's like, I mean, like it's just I'm not like a big fan of pre-orders and
We have for all the games, like, pre-order something and you get a statue, or like, is it different than that?
I think it is different because I mean you're making an agreement like, hey, I'm giving you more money than the game's worth, and you're gonna give me like some kind of tchotchke. I'm not. I mean, whether you think that's worth it depends on you. But I mean, when you have like this like sweepstakes for pre-ordering, I think it is a little bit different. What do you think, Jeremy?
Yeah, I mean a sweepstakes is a way different than just getting like DLC or, well, most of the pre-order stuff these days is DLC, but this whole sweepstakes thing, that's going a little far. And we should also mention I think there's like something like 100 different collector's editions.
Yeah. I think that's the one thing that really gets me. Like ever since we had that thing with Batman Arkham City, where they had like all these multiple different costumes, where if you pre-order from like Walmart or Target or Best Buy, like that kind of stuff drags me up the wall. Like if you want more money for your game, just tell me how much you want for the game.
That actually kind of the same thing happened with movies, with Blu-rays recently, where like Star Trek Into Darkness came out, and everyone had a different special feature you can only get at that place. Like the audio commentary on the movie was only on iTunes, so people they revolted and they screamed at Paramount. Now Paramount's like, okay, we're sorry, we're gonna release a version with everything on it. In a box set, here you go. So I think it's only a matter of time that the same thing's gonna happen in games. Where like, well, actually, kind of later on they release everything, but it sucks that but Batman was bad, and then there's the Assassin's Creed. You look at there's a Uplay exclusive one with a special statue. Then there's another statue version. Then there's like 3 versions with a statue, and it's like they did the same thing with Watch Dogs, and they had this pre-order grid that they set up with Watch Dogs because there was literally, I think,
to understand it.
There was a spreadsheet because I think there was literally 10 different versions of Watch Dogs, and you had to go on the spreadsheet and go down the list and see what each version got you, so you could figure out which is the best version of Watch Dogs for me. And I'm sure they're going to do that with Assassin's Creed. It's like, here's your pre-order spreadsheet. Figure out which one you want to pay $150 for.
Oh god, yeah, that's just so. I mean, it's obvious that the nature of like pre-orders. No one, I think, really is like, oh yeah, I think pre-orders are the best thing never happened. But it's just like at the lengths in which people are getting you to pay money for something that you haven't even really tested. All you can really go on is the word of people who are in the media, and you're not going to know until you buy the game whether it was worth the money you put down for it. And in some cases, a lot of the stuff is like stuff you have to put down like $50 if it's like one of these like $200 like pre-order packages.
I'm okay with these pre-order packages with the collector's editions, when it comes to like cool statues, because the Batman Arkham City fucking statue was badass. Any kind of Batman statue is pretty cool. And I guess if you're super into Assassin's Creed or whatever, I guess those statues are cool too. But I mean, like, I have a huge problem when it comes to like in-game content or that like you can only get if you pre-order. Just like, why are you holding back shit in the game? And then you kind of have to go into mentality. It was like, well, it obviously can't affect the game because you have to pre-order to get it. You can't like affect the storyline or whatever. It can't be anything that's inconsequential or anything. So I don't know. Not a big fan of fucking pre-orders, especially for games you don't know. Like Watch Dogs is worse because no one knew what that game was. No one knew the character. They're gonna love them, but Ubisoft wanted to sell you the idea of Aiden Pierce as like, he's the most charismatic guy ever. Go buy a statue.
Right.
And you don't even know this guy is cool or not. You don't know.
We saw how that went.
And you don't know, like, fucking, like, in Assassin's Creed the same way, too, because different assassins, like, everyone hated Connor. Like
But at
no,
least with Assassin's Creed, I mean, you know kind of at least what you're getting into. You have an idea. I know about what 60% of the elements of this game are going to be from the onset. And I know what's going to work in this game, and I know what is still like a variable. With like something like Watch Dogs, you're like, you've seen a few videos, and hopefully those are pretty dead on, telling us the truth. And then you end up getting it, and then they're selling you an Aiden Pierce figure of a character who's probably the worst character to come out all year. I mean, it's like little things like that. Like, if I had an Aiden Pierce character right now, I'd be, like a statue in my room, I'd be, wow, fuck my life. I'd be like, what am I going to do with this fucking thing?
You can't sell it. You can't sell it. Anyone else going to buy that, you know?
It's
like,
fucking,
no one's that hardcore.
no one wants this swap meet ass Tom Cruise on their fucking desk. That's just what I'm saying. I don't know, man. What do you guys think will happen with, I mean, now that I feel like things are steadily moving towards like the digital distribution thing. What's going to be the pre-order equivalent of that?
I think that for pre-loading, but I think we're going to see more of these kind of like contest sort of things if it's going to be digital only. It's like the sooner you pre-order this, you know, digitally, the more content you get. I mean, Steam does the same thing, you know, so they're not immune to any of this bullshit either. Like, you know, publishers, like, they have like these like tiers of like, you know, these like not like stretch goals. I'm not sure what they call them, but it's just like, you know, now people pre-order this, we'll probably unlock this part of the game, you know, or we'll give you this thing for free.
Turn into Kickstarter for like a major game.
Yeah, and then
so,
like
pre-order and add. There's 100 different versions of a limited pre-order.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's gonna go for the time thing because I don't think they're gonna like the sooner, I mean, because it's so easy, because it's so accessible, so it's like right there in your computer or your console. It's just like, oh yeah, I'll press a button and pre-order. I'm gonna get more stuff than I do it earlier anyway, so let me get all the stuff I can get, you know. And I'm not sure if they do they pre-orders on these consoles or anything now? Mm-hmm. Do they do they do pre-orders on the consoles now, like directly on there? Yeah. Do they make you pay the whole entire amount?
Yep.
Shit.
Yeah. But now, like on the PS4, like if you pre-order Destiny, you'll preload. It's actually Destiny's going to preload, I think, a whole week early. So yeah.
Yeah, the preloading thing. I mean, that's cool and all, but still, I mean.
Yeah.
Well, no, I like that they're going to preload it a week early because, you know, the PlayStation 4 will download and install stuff in standby. So that's going to give a whole week for these people on crummy internet connections who always complain about 40 gig downloads, a whole week to download that thing, and they won't be complaining on day one, and they'll be able to play it. So that's actually a really good idea.
They'll wait till the last day to start downloading and still find something to complain about.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, if their PS4's on and it's pre-ordered, it's going to automatically start preloading.
Right.
Yeah, PlayStation covered their bases at that point. You know, it's like, hey, when it's fucking day one, what the fuck you want us to do about it? It's gonna be a long ass time. It's a 40 gig download. We gave you the option to preload it a week early. You know.
You silly, bitches.
Yeah, so we're gonna see more of that too. Just like, you know, you pre-order early, so your crappy internet connection, you know, can actually have it done by the time you want to play it. And that's actually how the GameStop ad will be marketed as. Like, you have time warner.
No, because GameStop's not going to like the digital pre-orders because a digital pre-order is you're paying Sony for it.
Oh,
GameStop likes their pre-orders because GameStop likes their interest-free loans.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
They're sitting on top of a bunch of money that you've given them that they can invest however they want. We just like totally, just like free money. Like, here, take this money, have fun with it.
Yeah, and then like, oh, that's why they're so cool if you canceling whenever. It's like, fuck, we already made so much interest fucking on your $5.
I've always kind of been like wondering about that, and it turns out like employees at GameStop.
Oh, employees hate you for life.
They get pissed off when you cancel a pre-order because that's like a point against them.
Yeah, and then they can't work the next week. And
then they can't buy anything.
They can't
feed themselves.
They can't feed themselves with video games.
If you're ever going to GameStop and you, for some reason, decide you have to pre-order the next hot title that fucking Jimmy told you about, don't cancel it. Or just either don't pre-order it or just don't cancel it.
Or if someone tells you you're entitled gamer because you wanted the game the way it's meant to be played, then cancel a shit ton of games. Make sure that person's there.
Ubisoft, man.
Or always have a game on hold, so if you go into the store and you get terrible customer service, you can return a game.
Yes.
Like, you know what? Fuck you, I'm returning this. Canceling this pre-order.
All right, let's talk about something to get ourselves fired up.
Oh.
But before we do that, let's take our first break, and we'll be right back with more 1985 FM podcast.
All right. I said can only stay to the first break, so.
You're gonna miss the fun
I'm gonna
stuff.
miss the division part, but.
Oh, come on. You gotta stay for... he left.
He's all, I gotta say for bye.
Alright.
Oh, man, that sucks. Let's see what Brian's doing. We need a fourth.
Oh, he's back.
I closed the tab, but yeah, I gotta get going.
I was like, wow. I was like, he really needed to go.
No, I'm like closing out tabs. I'm like, oops, there goes the hangout. Oops.
That was rude.
Like, oops, there goes the hangout. But yeah, I gotta get up early in the morning. So.
All right,
See you
man.
guys next week.
All right, talk to you next week.
Later.
All right, so we'll give it a couple minutes before we go into the next segment. All right, so yeah, we're gonna rip into some fucking Ubisoft right now. They probably aren't gonna invite us to their Ubisoft party.
What? No, that was the best party.
That was I got a better party this year.
Oh, we did? Okay.
Got invited to the Latino review party.
Oh, really?
That sounds fucking awesome.
That's like the biggest Comic-Con party in the world.
How did you manage to do that?
My girlfriend's pretty fucking smooth.
I would have guessed that. Should have guessed.
Yeah, no, I couldn't pull that off. Tracy's a lot better looking than me. She's able to do that kind of stuff. But we're still gonna get it. We're gonna get into other parties. I'm laying the groundwork right now. I'm reaching out to all the publishers. So we're gonna definitely get into stuff.
That's good.
And the pirate ship this time is fucking, what do you call it? That Disney movie with the pirates and shit.
Wait, so that ship is always there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. It's just like something that they've been using the last couple of years for Comic-Con parties.
Wow, that was super convenient.
It's always there. So now they're using it for Pirates of the Caribbean this year.
I'm pissed that I didn't get to go to Metalocalypse the year before that. They did a performance on the what's the naval ship there? Well, it's the big like battleship that they have there.
That's pretty fucking cool, actually. If you're a fan of the show, that actually makes sense.
Yeah, it was. I was really disappointed I didn't go to that.
Metalocalypse. All right. I haven't heard from Jensen, so I'm just gonna start this shit.
All right.
All right. Here we go. If anyone inside this video watching this show has a question for the 1985 FM podcast, submit your question into the chat. We'll answer that towards the end of the show. If you're watching on YouTube, hi YouTube. We're not going to see your questions because you're on YouTube.
What if you're watching on your iTunes?
If you're watching on your iTunes, you can't hear me right now because you won't get this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Editing.
It's called editing magic.
It's pretty badass. All right. So, what did Ubisoft do now?
All right, here we go. Ubisoft. You fickle bitch. You're back in the news again this week. And if you watched last week's show or listened to last week's show, you remember us talking about or trying to kind of like reason some kind of logical way, some reason that Watch Dogs would be graphically downgraded on the PC version. And we were like, no, that doesn't make any sense. And if you remember, one of the things we brought up was like, maybe it's because of some weird like reason to have console parity between the PC and the console. Like, no, that's crazy. There's no way that could be the reason. That just doesn't make any sense. And then, not even a few days later, some developer on The Division says, oh, it turns out there's a lot of platform politics, and we want the PC and the console version to look the same. Fucking crazy, dude.
Yeah.
That was the only reason that could possibly make sense, and it was still crazy.
Did we talk about on the show at all, or why the dev team downgraded or whatever the experience, like their statement? Did we ever say that?
No,
Well,
we never talked. We never.
Okay.
Actually, no.
Okay, so this is a statement from Ubisoft. The dev team is completely dedicated to getting the most out of each platform, so the notion that we would actively downgrade the quality of is contrary to everything we've set out to achieve. We test and optimize our games for each platform on which they're released, striving for the best possible quality. The PC version does indeed contain some old, unused render settings that were deactivated for a variety of reasons, including the possible impacts of visual fidelity, stability, and performance, and overall gameplay quality. What? Modders. Yeah, you're a modder if you just press a 1 to a 0. Fucking all right, awesome. Modders are usually creative and passionate players, and while we appreciate their enthusiasm, the mod in question, which uses old settings, subjectively enhances the game's visual fidelity. Let me say that again.
Can we just stop? Yeah. Repeat that one more time.
Subjectively enhances the game's visual fidelity in certain situations.
Subjectively enhances the I don't think there's any. If it were merely a subjective difference between the two graphical settings, then they wouldn't have made it the E3 presentation on those settings. They wouldn't have made it such a big fucking deal if it was such a subjective difference. It is apparently different. It's not subjectively different. It is very much obvious that this is a better version of the game.
But also can have various negative impacts. Oh, all those people who are
it does have negative impacts. Fucking hardcore PS4 fanboys feel like they get ripped off.
Those range from performance issues to difficulty in reading the environment in order to appreciate the gameplay. Difficulty to reading the environment and appreciate the gameplay?
That might be fair in the sense that there is like a depth, the depth blur. Like it went with the all the original settings on, like the depth of field is kind of blurred, so you can't see the distance. But I think that's a gross exaggeration of the situation.
To potentially making the games less enjoyable or even unstable. Thanks for playing Watch Dogs, and stay safe on the mean streets of Chicago. The Watch Dogs team.
All right. Obviously, what they just wrote right there is a bunch of bullshit. A gigantic heaping fucking load of
All
bullshit.
the excuses they could have made, that was not the best they could have done. And some might say it is the worst they could have done. Say using things like subjectively and
like subjective, like they're basically saying like, oh well, I know some people like no, obviously the game looks better. Like there's nothing subjective about it. Why would you even say subjective? You're basically, I don't even, what's the word I'm even, it's like a very just like tiptoeing way of saying, oh, it's, maybe it's better. Maybe it's for some people that a good-looking game is subjectively better.
I mean, the whole like it being unstable thing, like that was my argument last week, and just like probably but like, everyone who's played it is just like, no, it actually runs a lot better and it looks better. Go figure, that's awesome.
Yeah.
In my case, it actually didn't make it look any better, but it was running because I was already running at Ultra, but instead of it running, I had a noticeable jump in frame rate at the same exact quality. And my computer started running cooler.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, like it just fucking A, man.
I mean, we don't.
It wasn't a graphic improvement. It was actually a performance improvement.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, obviously, it's just we've all had that situation where it's improved our performance, but we are a small group, so it's tough to say that is like across the board what everyone's experiencing, although a lot of people have said that it's been better for them. So in the case of The Division, they've already said that it's been downgraded considerably at this point to actually start getting it closer to what it's supposed to be. And a lot of it is because of console politics.
Yeah, so because, what was the quote? There's a lot of push from publishers to not make the experience so different on consoles as to alienate people into thinking that next generation is not as powerful as PC.
Next gen, but see, that's isn't that?
It's still current.
Obviously, that's a stupid thing to say because obviously next gen or whatever you want to call it, like the current Xbox One, PS4 are not as powerful as a PC. They will never be as powerful as a PC. Every time you bring out a new version of the PlayStation, there's going to be a PC that's stronger. That's just how PCs work. And
the thing is, console gamers aren't stupid. They understand that and they know what they're buying into. It's just like, this is a machine that just had plug in and play games. And the third-party games are also on PC. Obviously, they're gonna look worse than that. But I buy this mostly for the
I don't know if I necessarily want to give all console gamers that much credit. I do think there are a group of people who think since they bought the new system, it should be the top of the line right now, and they don't necessarily see the difference between spending $400 on a PlayStation and spending $2,000 on building your own PC. I think there are people who don't necessarily see the difference.
The funny part is you don't have to spend $2,000 to get a PC that's gonna be better than.
Of course. I mean, we built the PC that we use for the show for a hell of a lot less, and it runs circles around a PS4.
Yeah, but that's not what you buy. You buy a PS4 for the exclusives and like the ease of use and for the other things that the PS4 does. Like the streaming to the PS Vita or PlayStation Now or anything like that. Things that you can't get on a PC. You don't get a PS4 and go, no, other people can't have the same visual fidelity. Have to have the same visual fidelity that I have. Like, no, baby has to have its way. Just like, it's so childlike.
It's just a crazy thing that you have to there's so much weight put on trying to guard the sensibilities of console owners. Obviously, and at the sake of PC is a strong platform, and when you limit it by what the console is capable of, not because of actual limitations, but just because you're trying to defend people's egos, their loyalty egos. It's just a really strange thing to me, and I don't know. It's like trying to make this artificial power to the new consoles that isn't there.
It also doesn't make sense that they don't just allow this as a slider in the settings like they have with everything else.
Right.
In their E3 demos, why not just have the full PC version instead of pulling something back? Just scale it down a little bit. Show it as a PS4.
Why can't console owners change their visual fidelity? I don't see why that's the problem.
Well, I don't think.
Here's the thing about that. I hear that all the time. No, they can't do that. That's bullshit. Final Fantasy Online, whatever the newest one is, actually does that. There's not a bunch of fucking visual fidelity changes, but you can change it to I would like this to run at 60 FPS, but I'm willing to sacrifice all the bells and whistles that make it look cool. Or I want to look really cool when I run at 30 FPS. You can have that option. I mean, these are just machines after all. They're no different than the machines that we're running this podcast on. So even if it's not the full amount of tweaks that you're going to get on a PC, the console owners need to have a choice in order to say listen, I just wanted to run a solid 60 because it makes it play better and perform better. Even though it doesn't look as good, it plays better. Or I kind of want to see what all the lighting effects are all about and everything. I want to run it at 30 FPS. The option has been there, and it's been proven on the Final Fantasy. It was 14, 15, I don't fucking know what number of these games are now. But, it's there, and it's capable. These machines are capable of doing that. So I just don't see why.
Do not agree with that. I think that's a horrible, a slippery slope, a horrible thing. I don't think there's any. First of all,
it's already allowed for PC owners to adjust their fidelity. You're not going to run every game at max settings.
Yeah, because the PC is there's so many variations of what is PC. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, there's so many variations. But if I go,
you have one machine and you have tons of games, and they all perform differently, and they all look
I don't think you're considering all the downsides from a PR, a publishing side compared to what the one little benefit is for a consumer side. Like there's so many. Like if a game runs kind of poorly because someone just decided to put it at the max settings on their PlayStation, they're not going to factor that in when they have a poor outlook on how this game turned out. That's not something we can't even, like, minor things like about story aren't even like handled.
You already
with that
have
kind of
that on.
care.
You already have that on games like
You're only naming a couple games. That's not. That's definitely not.
A big game. I can't even think of the fucking Sony PlayStation exclusive, Infamous. They released a patch. It was like, okay, you want an unlocked frame rate, or do you want, a locked frame rate? And they do turn down bells and whistles in order to do it. That's how it works, So the option is available to them. I don't see a reason why they don't have this option.
I think the reason is pretty obvious.
Console gamers don't want that. They want to be able to put in a game, turn it on, and play. A lot of PC gamers are the ones that are going to be going in that are going to be
talking
modified.
about adjusting a slider like it's like we're talking about adjusting a slider. It sounds like rocket science. It's really not. It's
not.
But that's not the actual process of making the thing happen.
And we're talking like it's about down to like people who play console games like they're 2 years old. And it's like there's
no, but I'm not. It's not talking about like people talking down to people, but there is an inherent difference between someone who builds their machine, installs their game, installs the drivers for their game, installs all the things to get to this game to run, then actually goes and buys their game, and then installs their game and plays their game, and then the person who buys goes to GameStop, puts a disc in. There's an inherent different relationship with the software they buy.
No, there isn't, because
there's totally a difference.
When you buy, no, because you're thinking about games that you just plug in and play. Now you don't do that anymore. You plug in, you put in the game, you wait like 30 fucking minutes if you're lucky for it to download all the drivers and all the new stuff, and that it wasn't included on the disk, and then wait for patches and everything else to go in. Once it's installed into your unit and you have to use your disk, then you go and play. Everyone has the same machine, so everyone has the ability to change settings for that one machine. Everyone can choose, like, if they want to do 60 FPS with with lower fidelity graphics, or they can do 30 FPS with higher fidelity graphics. It's just a on or off switch, which is barely available on certain games. I don't see why it can't be for more than just those two titles.
I just think we're overlooking like a key difference in the population who plays these systems. I can't. If I ask someone who owned a PlayStation right now, what kind of processor do you have in there? They wouldn't be able to tell me. It's not about that. There's not. But it is. Like, I mean, it's the difference of, like, PC players know the the parts they use to put together. They know what their system is capable of because they built the goddamn thing.
It's not about knowing what you put in there or what processor. I
mean that understanding.
It's a simple slider. It's not like these sliders saying, okay, you need to have a quad core this, and you need to type in this series of codes. It's just turning a switch on and off, and that switch can be just installed in the game when on PS4 or Xbox One.
Brendan, I feel like you want to say something.
Yeah, the large difference between the two. There are people that are going to spend, hundreds of dollars, or maybe even thousands, building a PC for themselves. They want to be able to configure every single part for themselves. That's why they do that. And they're generally people that are employed, they have time, they know how to use their time, and they want to be able to make things as custom as possible. Whereas the consoles, their largest market are families and teenagers.
Of course, I'm not talking about the families or teenagers changing the visual fidelity of the game. I'm talking about
shit about this thing.
So everyone who owns a console is just for families.
Nothing you're saying is absolute. I mean, that's a given.
That's what I'm saying. Having the option makes it so it's not an absolute. It's like you don't have to you have a choice in what you want out of your game. Why is it that these other games have this choice but these other games don't? Can you explain that to me?
What games have choice and which ones don't?
Final Fantasy XIV or Infamous Second Son. Why does those games?
I couldn't speak on their behalf. I don't know why.
Okay,
I understand why most publishers. No, wait, let me finish what I'm saying.
Alright.
I understand why the publishers, from their position, have decided not to do this, because it creates a imbalanced experience. And then one person goes, oh, my game doesn't run at 60 frames a second. Why doesn't? But I want it to look really pretty. And they can't figure out a reason to like balance between making it look really good. That's not something you want in the hands of most general consumers. A PC player is a little bit more savvy about that, and they understand that the certain things take, those little incremental increases take more horsepower. It's not the same issue with console gamers. They've had a standard that's been going on for many, many years, and now just if for one person to have it run good on their system and not have it run well on their system because they made this choice just based on they want it to look as good as possible, that's something that most console gamers aren't used to. I don't see why that wouldn't be something you would avoid as a company, as a publisher, or a developer. You would want to buffer that as much as possible, that every person who played a game on a console had the very same exact experience. That's one of the benefits of a console. You can have the very same experience whether I put my game into your console, Brendan's console, or my console.
You're not losing that, is what I'm saying. Everybody has the same 2 or 3 options. So they have the same. Everyone has the same sliders they can adjust. If it fucking doesn't have to be sliders, it could just be switches.
It's not sliders, and this is a totally different story. And let's do it.
On consoles,
I'm joking.
On consoles, we should expect everything to be at max. It's built for gaming.
Yeah, that's a good
But we're not getting 30 FPS. We're not getting 1080p gaming. So they gotta fucking do something to get people.
That's poor optimization on the developer's part. It's not something that can be changed. If it's not running at 30, the developer needs to be changing something within that makes it so it is. The game should be optimized in such a way that it is looking at its best at all times with no sort of hang-ups. That's how all console games should be.
I think the MMO is a different situation where they do allow this in the console game. I honestly don't think it's a good idea that they did, but across the board, I mean, the only reason these sliders exist is because there is variable types of hardware, and you need to accommodate for those. When the hardware is exactly the same, like Brendan said, everything should be running at peak performance. There's no reason for a slider.
Every PS4 is the same. Not all PCs are the same. I'm not going to be. If I produce a game that doesn't have variable sliders, if I put that game on something with, a Titan and some, 16 quads of RAM and shit.
That's a lot of RAM.
Yeah.
16 quads of RAM.
Yeah, 16.
It's
not going to run the same as if I put it on a 750 Ti with like an AMD chip or something and 2 gigs of RAM. You can't. That's why you have to have those sliders on a PC. It's inherently necessary for the game to function.
You have those different variables inside the game itself when it comes to like games like Final Fantasy 14, for example, because there'll be a lot of fucking people on the screen, because it's MMO, by its nature. So it's like, hey, this shit's fucking chugging when there's a bunch of people online. And when it comes to like these games nowadays, there's a lot of persistent like online experiences nowadays. I mean, Destiny's gonna be huge, right. And it's gonna start chugging when there's a lot of people on screen, and no one's gonna like that, and it's not gonna be much.
But at that time, but then at least when you're developing with, like, say, the PlayStation 4, let's use the PlayStation 4 for example for Destiny. You know what the ceiling is for how many people are on screen, and you know what to develop to accommodate all those people on screen, and you know that whatever you do for that system is going to work across the board for every PlayStation. There's not a PlayStation that has any advantage over the next one. And that's how you adjust for that. And obviously in the PC, it's a different situation. I mean, I understand like the idea that like maybe you want your frames to run a little bit higher at the cost of some graphic fidelity. But then at the end of the day, you give the player this option that may have a determining factor on how they view the game and how they tell other people they feel about the game. Maybe they're like, I like the game, it looks really pretty, but it only runs at sub 30 frames a second. I don't like that. And then it's like, that's not what we intended. We didn't want them to have that kind of choice. We wanted everyone to see the game as this one thing. And that's why it doesn't happen on consoles. Everything needs to be at the very same level, for obvious the reason that the hardware is the same, and that everyone has the same experience when they play the game.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but I mean, you're still getting those arguments now. Of course, it's like no news to us that I like the game, but it's only running at like 30 or maybe fucking 30 frames per second, or just running at like 92p or whatever.
Yeah, but I mean, but then keep in mind, like, if you do have like two different settings, and it was adopted, you did that. Then you'd have your development team kind of splintered in a way, because they would have to develop and to optimize two different settings. And that would be hard enough to do, even when we have like games that are with one setting that they're trying to optimize and having trouble meeting their marks, and then have to develop for two settings.
Yeah, it would be a little bit more development time if they do that, and they don't really have to worry about that when it comes to PC, because like Brendan said, there's millions of different PCs out there, and like they just kind of let you run loose with the settings, because we don't know. Yeah, it's on your hands. So it definitely would accommodate more development time. That I definitely can't agree on, but.
I mean, I understand like from the idea that choice is good. You want to have choice and those kind of things, but I think from the standpoint of the people who are trying to make money off this, it's not something that is efficient for work, and it's not as efficient for the message of the game in the end.
I think we're gonna see more of that in the next generations of consoles. I think we're gonna see some sort of choice or something. I mean, it was rumored that we're gonna get like a pro version of Xbox One and like a casual version.
Well, it's happening a little bit. I mean, if you take the
whole Kinect out of the box.
Bluepoint, well, I mean, I'm speaking more to like what we were talking about right here. Like the Bluepoint version of Titanfall has a locked at 30 hertz mode.
Yeah.
And a locked at 30 hertz mode means that you will stay at 30 frames a second all the time. Your TV is set for only 30 frames a second, so that's kind of your optimized. You don't want to have that rapid like chugging with when like Titans come on. It's always going to be 30 frames.
Yeah.
And that's something Bluepoint did. Respawn didn't end up doing that with their Xbox One version, but that was something that was out there. So I mean, that's kind of around that, and maybe that'll happen more often. But something that's more like how intense do you want your graphics? I just don't think that's going to happen with consoles.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see here. What else do we got? Let's talk about PS Now prices.
Ooh,
They're
man.
ridiculous.
They're pretty fucking terrible.
Are they really? Please tell me.
All right, so should we go down to prices? All right, so these are just I think there's more examples, but these are 3 I got from what was the source from this? Skip Scene. Deus Ex Human Evolution? Human Revolution. 4 hours, $5 please. If you want for 7 days, $7 please. For a month, $14.99. 90 days, $29.99. Obviously, these prices aren't final. Let me Amazon how much fucking Evolution Deus Ex is.
Game's like 3 years old.
Right now, you can get that game for the complete game on Steam for $10.
I'm talking about PS3 though. If you want it brand new for PS3, $12.18.
$12.18. Wow.
$12.18. This is from Amazon.
30 days price.
All right, now if these games were newer games, I think the $14.99 a month would be appealing.
That's I guess it's fair for 30 days. Yeah, I can see that.
For 30 days, I mean, you figure you don't have to get out of your house. You're able to load it instantly. $14.99 for a month, that would be a very appealing price for a game that had been out for like 2 or 3 months.
Definitely, especially for something like for some of the new remastered games.
Yeah.
You can get the Left 4 Dead remastered for that price. I'm sold.
Yeah, but then when you have a game that's like, I could go walk to the store and own it for $13. It's like, dude, come on, man.
And not only just own it, you're playing it locally. So you have to worry about oh shit, fucking Time Warner Cable, they're at it again.
Good point. Yeah, we haven't even factored in like how the infrastructure is actually going to work. We might not even be necessarily getting like the trouble-free version of this game.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any other examples of prices?
Yeah, the Crazy Taxi. It's a much older game, so the prices are significantly lower. 4 hours, $3.
Shut
4
up.
hours. No, I'm fucking not fucking with you. 7 days, $4. 30 days, $5.99. So that's much better than a $14.99.
It should be
days.
$5.99 to own. even that I'd have to think about.
Yeah, price. So it's at 90 days to $7.99. The price of the game on PSN is $9.99.
Oh my god. Yeah. Ooh.
One more game on here. That just for example, I think there's more, but I think they had Catherine on there, but I'm not entirely sure. But Kane and Lynch 2 Dog Days, not a great game, but it's on here for 4 hours. $5, 7 days, $6.99, 30 days, $11.99, and 90 days, $24.99. Price of the game on PSN, $19.99.
No. None of this sounds like a really it seems like they've totally overvalued their software here.
Well, here's a couple of things about this. One, prices aren't final. Two, why the fuck are you charging people who are in beta or alpha? Don't do that. That's a terrible idea because no one's gonna try this out because this shit's expensive as fuck. You should give everyone like $100 credit or something if you need to use it so you can work your system.
Yeah.
You know.
Right. Well, you think part of it is that they're actually trying to see how the pricing structure is, if it's appealing to people?
Oh, I'm pretty sure they got their fucking answer now because of how much press there was about this. You know, it's people.
No.
Yeah, everyone's like whole pile of no, and they're handing out codes like crazy at E3, and people were just like, all right, cool, this is awesome, and it's like,
let's do this.
See why they're like, oh well, we had to cast a way bigger net because these prices are probably not gonna make anyone happy. I know we were talking about it a little bit last week, but or the week before, how about they're doing this a la carte only, but actually, according to the PlayStation blog, they're planning on doing a subscription model anyways, like according to
really?
the devs there. Yeah, so this comes straight from the PlayStation blog. It says, we want to offer you the choice when it comes to how you want to access your content on PS Now. So we will be able to rent by title for specific games you're interested in. We'll also offer a subscription that will enable you to explore a range of titles. Now, we can all, assume that the subscription is going to be $100 a day.
I mean, based on crazy taxi prices, yes.
Nothing less, nothing more. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do for that sub model. I mean, they got a lot of work to do. Not even just the pricing, just the infrastructure in general. I don't see how they're going to pull this off with the way that PlayStation Now, the whole vision of it's so grand. It's not just PlayStation 3 or PlayStation Vita. It's the TVs. It's your phones potentially. It's not even just like Sony Bravia phones or whatever. It's your iPhone will be able to play PlayStation game. That's huge, but can they do it? How many servers are there going to be? Are there going to be servers in every fucking state? Because you're going to need it. Because games are big. I'm like, fucking streaming games from my PC in here can be laggy sometimes. And I'm right here. So it's pretty ambitious, and I don't know. I hope it's not something that just dies on arrival.
I hear the new thing that they're gonna do to actually make it work is every time you order a copy of Crazy Taxi, Shuhei Yoshida is gonna pick up a desktop and he's gonna bring it to your house and he's gonna actually just plug it in. That's how you're gonna play Crazy Taxi. He's gonna plug a PC into it. He's gonna stream from your house.
I was listening to another podcast and one of the hosts was bringing up the ability of downloading bits and pieces at a time,
right?
And then just it kind of runs locally, but it kind of doesn't. And that seems like an awesome idea if it was just PlayStation platforms, because that could possibly work. But since we're dealing with phones and TVs, they're not gonna have the hardware to run that. They only have the hardware just to stream the titles. They don't have the hardware to not only the storage to store these huge files, like a whole level of The Last of Us.
It's probably
yeah, and they don't even have the processing power to do it. They only have the processing power just to take the commands and send it back to the server, and it come back to you. It's crazy.
I'm not sure if maybe we're looking at this the wrong way. Maybe this isn't something that we're necessarily all of us who own consoles and play games, right? They are really supposed to be interested in, because we see like weighing in like the benefits. It just doesn't work for us. If you were playing only on your phone, your iPad, or on your PlayStation, PS TV, and maybe then that it becomes. But I mean, at the end of the day, like, none of these games are worth the monthly fee to purchase, and the games that we would want on there isn't worth a publisher to sacrifice the sales of to put on there. So
you guys remember back in the day when we actually rented games? Like, you went down to a Blockbuster, picked up a game, and went home with it?
Right.
Yeah. Prices on those?
Yeah, and the prices on those was what, like $6 for 3 days? But I mean, like, if that was a different time, I mean, obviously, I don't think that really exists anymore.
Yeah, we didn't have the fucking like economic like fucking like travesty that we have now.
Yeah. But, like, it's not like every game's not like do or die and fucking 100 people's jobs are at stake.
Yeah, and it's not. It's in Oslo. Those were local. You know, like you can say, oh man, I'm totally down. I have a whole weekend off. I'll rent this game for a weekend for like fucking $6.99 for every fucking reason.
Right.
And it ends up being like I can't play the game because Time Warner Cable shut down my internet, or they're just throttling my.
That's why these prices are even more ridiculous. With all the changes that we've had, these are almost exactly the same prices that we had a long time ago when you had to drive to a place, grab a game, the physical copy, go back to your house, and then put it in your system, and then you would play it.
Mm-hmm.
Why, with all these changes in technology, are we still paying the same price?
Yeah, exactly.
Old-ass game, not something that came out yesterday.
The only way I think I would even say that like $25 a month for a new game, if I only had it for a month, and I didn't have any ownership of it after the fact, $25 would be perfectly fine.
Yeah, but you still feel like an asshole for like doing it because like, man, I actually like this game. I think I want to play more of it. Now I spent $75 for that game, or like, you know, or $65 for that game because I spent so much, or whatever fucking amount that you spent, you know.
Right.
On top of it, $85, like so, like $85 or like fucking $90 on a game because you spent the fucking.
At the end of the day, I mean that's your bad for not buying it. But I mean, at least then, I mean, that's an appealing price, a price that the publisher wouldn't be giving up their license to the actual game because it would only go for a month, and it would actually be a reason to play the game. The only problem is it won't happen because for $25, a lot of people would get their fill out of the game in a month.
Yeah. I think
there's never going to be a point where the kind of people like us are going to be satisfied with this. There's not a price model that works for us. It doesn't look like it, judging by this.
They need to, I don't know, they need to probably like do the whole Origin like game time thing maybe for a little bit just so you could test your network connection or something. You know,
yeah, and something like that.
Play for free for like 30 minutes so we can see if this fucking works and it's worth your money, and then charge. I mean, like, don't charge that much, but charge whatever you want. You know. Is a little bit lower than that, because that's just the biggest point for me. It's just like I don't want to spend this money, you know. Like I've been burned for fucking like spending money on shit like recently. I'm scared of like buying like premium memberships of things and like.
I fucking love this 4-hour price. Like I could play Crazy Taxi cheaper in the arcade, sitting inside a race car seat for cheaper than $4 for 4 hours.
Or at least the same fucking amount of money, and you're in a fucking taxi.
And I'm in a fucking taxi where I can go and turn those tickets in and get myself a teddy bear. This is a big difference.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what price Crazy Taxi actually becomes worth it, honestly.
We need to bring back arcades.
What's that?
Yeah.
We just need to bring back arcades.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
PlayStation now, it doesn't look like. I personally don't. I don't see it working unless there's a big change.
They need like
at least not for us.
Well, at least like what I said. I mean, like it's not. The pricing model is not final. Obviously, this is still beta or alpha. You know, it could be drastically different. That subscription model could be extremely appealing. You know, if it's like even if it's like $25 a month, that's pretty reasonable for like if it was a huge library of PlayStation Now games. But I'm just saying, PlayStation, Sony, give your customers a trial run to check the internet connection, because this shit is solely based on that, and it's such a huge variable that like no one knows. I mean, I'm paying for fucking 30 megs down, but like it's fucking
server errors?
Huh?
What if there are like server errors and the
Nope.
game is down for a
Exactly.
day?
What if
Yeah,
you're playing on?
exactly.
Are they gonna do only single player games on the server, or there be like multiplayer games? Can they do multiplayer games? You know, like so that takes out Call of Duty entirely. You know.
Good question. Yeah.
Streaming?
What's that?
All these games are streaming, right?
Yeah, they're all
Yeah.
streaming.
Playing on some remote server somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know, man. I honestly, I don't think it bodes
The
really
input
well.
lag is going to be insane just from a single player perspective. You know, from a multiplayer game, you do have other people's bullshit too. It's just like, I don't know.
All right.
Streaming's not there yet.
It's not there yet. The technology's not there yet. Get a Project Shield.
Not even that right now.
Oh, have you heard about the new Steam handheld? The Steam Box handheld that's in development?
Game Boy? Yeah. It's
Yeah.
everyone thought it was fake, and it actually is actually real, but it's not from Valve. It's from a third party.
Not from Valve. It's just that, you know, like everyone's making their Steam Box. These guys want to make a Steam Box handheld.
It's exciting. I mean, like that's ambitious. I don't think it's going to be amazing. I think what they set out to do is play a majority of the Steam. It said that we're going to be able to play a majority of the Steam games, which is not true, but it'll play a lot of the Steam games. Like any of the fucking love sims on there, like you're done, like perfect,
Right.
60 FPS, like no fucking.
You can play the hell out of some Rogue Legacy.
You can play then that's a really fucking cool, you know, like you can get that on handheld, I don't think, right? Is that on PlayStation Vita?
I think they're getting it ready for Vita, but I don't think it's.
Yeah, it has potential for very, like, you know, low fidelity games or just like 2D platformers and stuff that they can't really get on like PlayStation Vita or your 3DS or for that cheap, because fucking those prices of the games are really high all the time. So it's cool, but I'm just kind of like I'm not like looking forward to it, and I'm not looking forward to it. By not looking forward to it, I mean like I'll probably buy it.
Yeah, no, we understand what that means when you say that. I'm not looking that forward to it, so I'm probably gonna pick it up a week after it comes out.
Yeah, most likely.
Pre-ordered.
Yeah, already pre-ordered. It comes with a statue.
I don't even know who this company is. I don't even think you can pre-order
No one does. No one knows who it is.
Yeah, it's really bizarre.
One day.
I think we'll see more of those going.
Things like the battery. Like, in order for this thing to like actually like stay working, it's gonna have to be like a lithium-ion battery. It's gonna get super fucking hot.
It's really weird because I mean it's not the same architecture that the Shield is running on. You know, they're making it an x86 like fucking architecture for a handheld with 4 gigs of RAM.
Yeah,
you know, and like
it's gonna just melt your hands off.
That sounds like what was that handheld like way back when that did the same thing that ran on like 18 different batteries, like
it's like
Sega,
the Engage or the Lynx.
Game Gear was fucking amazing though. Like that thing did its job, but yeah, like the N-Gage. I mean, it didn't melt your hands off, but it was just like it's not there yet.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
That was also a phone.
Yeah, it was fucking. It
wasn't really either. It kind of failed on both fronts. It wasn't much of a phone. It wasn't much of a video game system. The box was nice. Jesus.
How do you even know what the box? Did you have one?
No, hell no. I remember when it came out, we're like, oh, is this gonna be cool? And then like a week after it came out, like we're like, oh nope, this is not gonna be cool.
Oh,
like, this is the same time. There was like a PlayStation 1's out at this time. Like that was like really cool, and fucking N-Gage. Oh my god.
It was like 3D on the go, but like kinda.
No, it didn't work. Didn't work at all.
Even though it was pretty fucking like impressive, like technically, we still knew it was a piece of shit.
I think it was so bad.
It was like a Game Boy, but terrible.
Yeah, and it's like, what if the Game Boy had nothing going for it? And plus, you could call people.
But it was also it was also a phone.
Let's take a Game Boy Color, throw it against a wall, and then
give you the ability to call other people and tell them how bad your phone is.
Yeah.
Alright guys, that's it for us this week on the 1985 FM podcast. If you enjoyed the show, which you'd be stupid not to, Go to iTunes, subscribe, leave a comment, and a star rating. We'd much appreciate it. Go to 1985fm.com. Check out our content that comes out every single frickin' day. We're slaves for that goddamn site. It feeds us, and very poorly, so if you could visit it more often, we'd appreciate it. I'm Randy LaGudice. Thank you to Lawrence Lawson and Brendan O'Connell. See you guys again next week for another episode of the 1985 FM podcast.
Goodbye.
Good night.